Welcome, everyone, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim with the Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. And hey, Happy New Year, everybody. I know you are listening to this wherever you are. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're doing work, maybe you're doing yoga, but you are surrounded by the detritus of kale chips and healthy eating. You've got like some sort of cleansing water that you've been downing because you're doing dry January for at least a week, and you're just doing it. So I support your health, and I'm so glad that you're listening to us, and I'm so glad that you've been a part of this. And you should resolve to leave a really good review right now. Just do that right now on the podcast. That way people know what's going on, and more people can join into the Sonoma Spiel. Okay, listeners, we are in the middle of our 100 Days of Winter Wellness, a new thing we're promoting here in Sonoma Valley. And I'm so glad that we've got someone here who is a part of the Sonoma Valley community and is an active participant in Sonoma's food scene. And she and her husband are doing awesome stuff, and they're business partners. And I know I say every week I have a very special guest, but this time I really actually mean it. I have a very, very special guest, Lauren Feldman with Valley. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you didn't know this, but we're doing yoga on the podcast.
I would be so into that, actually. Yeah.
Oh, so you already know how to do yoga?
Oh, yeah.
Ah, gosh. All right. We're doing something else then.
Okay. I was a figure skater growing up. I don't know if you know that about me.
You really were?
I was a figure skater.
Where?
At Snoopy's.
At Snoopy's Home Ice?
Mm-hmm.
You were?
Yeah, I grew up skating.
Can you do a sow cow?
I can do a sow cow.
What
can
is
do
a
double
sow
sow cow.
What is a sow? Is that the flip or is that the twist?
This is its own podcast. None of them are flips. You're not allowed to flip anymore.
Oh, okay. It was a twist.
Well, there is a trick called a flip.
But it's not a flip.
My goodness, but it's not actually a flip.
Okay, I didn't even know this. Okay, so you've already jumped ahead. So like where you're from.
But the whole point is that I grew up doing yoga and all the things.
So I can do yoga on the ice when I just try to ice skate normally.
Yeah.
And I end up like splatting. Yeah, I do it. So Lauren, that's great. I didn't know. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Lauren, where are you from and where did you grow up?
I am from Sonoma Valley. Okay. I was born at a hospital in San Francisco, but my parents lived in Sonoma on Lomita for the first 2 years of my life. Okay. And then we moved up into the hills between Santa Rosa and Calistoga that have since, burned many times since then.
Yeah, like up at Petrified Forest area.
Yeah, exactly. Way up there, Foothill Ranch Road.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up there, and then we eventually moved to Fountain Grove. And
you sure can pick them. Okay. So
yeah,
you guys,
I know. Just follow my footsteps.
Where do you live now? Because I'm not going to live there.
Yeah, really.
So you lived in Fountain Grove, and then you moved here eventually.
Yeah, after high school, I went to Indiana. I moved to New York after that. That's where I met my husband. Okay. I moved back here in about 2010. Okay. And I've been back in the area more or less
ever since then.
Yeah.
What brought you to Indiana?
I thought, growing up as a figure skater, I actually was making my own skating costumes.
You sewed them? You made them?
I designed them.
Okay.
I had someone that helped me make them physically, but I designed them, and then I was on a synchronized skating team, and I designed the costumes for that. And I was like, this could be an interesting way to make a living. So I actually went to Indiana University because, for two reasons. It was a 2-hour drive from my sister, who is at Miami University of Ohio. Okay. And I also wanted to do fashion design, but the focus was on costume construction. So for ballet, it was part of the School of Music.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you good at sketching those things? Like people would sketch.
I did.
Like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I never knew this. Okay.
Yeah. But I also was a business major too. So.
Because your parents were like, you better learn.
Exactly.
You can't buy all the fabric and not sell anything.
And it's a very good thing because clearly I do nothing with fashion or skating costumes anymore.
Well, I see you're wearing the high fashion hat.
The super high fashion hat.
Out of France, yes. So you went to Indiana. You studied fashion design, but in the costuming department.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, New York after that to pursue that. Didn't work. Fell back into restaurants, which I actually, growing up here, I think my first restaurant job was at the first Stark's restaurant. It was Willie's Wine Bar.
Fantastic. The original?
No. The original.
Yes.
The original that...
Yeah. Again, Lauren. You're kind of a pattern there.
It's
it's
Sonoma Valley.
That's
What can
Sonoma
I
Valley.
say?
What do you say?
Unfortunately,
So that one has since been rebuilt
Yes.
and relocated. So the
Yes.
original wheel, I love that place. That was great. Small plates, beautiful location right there on Old Redwood Highway by Cardinal Newman High School and Ursuline High School in Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, it did burn in one of the 17 fires. But the Starks, the Starks are actually a good probably example for you. Because they're like accidental restaurateurs.
Massive at this point. They have a ton of restaurants.
But they started off with like, I don't know, let's open a restaurant.
Yeah. But they always knew. I don't know. I mean, I was a baby when I worked for them, so who can say? But, I feel like they had an idea of what they were doing.
Right.
And they were good. They were good business owners and good bosses. So,
they seem to have staff that work a long time for them.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
Seem to have, they've since spun off. I have no idea how many new current restaurants.
I don't know.
There's got to be. It's more than 5 or 6 or 7.
They just opened
they have a French
something
one,
else.
right? I think it's called Augie's in Santa Rosa. I haven't been there yet.
I don't know. Many.
So you got the restaurant bug and you learned the restaurant business a little bit.
Yes.
Were you a server or a busser or?
I was a busser there.
Get that side work
I
done,
was.
man. Good.
I was in high school.
Yeah.
And so then in college in Indiana, I worked at a couple restaurants there, and then when I moved to New York, I was doing the fashion thing, making literally zero money, probably spending more money than I was making.
Right.
So I started working for a new restaurant that at the time was opening up that a friend of mine, Joe Campanale, was opening.
Okay.
And I just completely fell in love, did all my sommelier training there.
Okay, so you're starting off like a server?
I was a server there.
And then you learned about wine. But you knew about wine probably growing up here.
Yeah, I think we all kind of absorb it.
Right.
It's all kind of by osmosis, I think.
Right.
We know the seasons. We know, where things grow, where things don't. But yeah, it was really, I fell in love particularly with Italian wine.
Okay.
So.
So I want to segue to that. Doodle-doo. You guys open a restaurant called Valley.
Yes.
Because you'd worked at a winery here in town called Scribe.
Yes.
But what's peculiar or different or unique about your restaurant, it's not full of like a lot of local winemakers. You have different types of wines there. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I think that what we found from just my personal experience moving back to this area, this little town after living, in other countries
in the big cities
and in the
Indiana.
big cities of Indiana.
Bloomington or wherever, yeah.
Bloomington, Indiana, and, New York City.
Right, I've heard of that one.
That's one. Coming back to this kind of small community where there are a lot of people that want to drink a lot of different things.
Try new things, right.
Yeah, like most of my friends here are in the industry.
Right. It's very hard to not meet, if you live here, to not meet somebody related to the wine industry.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So
in hospitality and wine, and I think that when you work in wine in somewhere like Sonoma, you still want to be educated in wines of the old world. You still want to be connected to that and be drinking that, even if you live here and even if you love Sonoma Valley wines. You still, want to know what Greek Assyrtiko tastes like. You still want to know what's happening in Chablis and how the vintages are affecting,
everything. Because that's what's neat about you guys. You have Greek wines. You have Georgian wines, if I recall.
Georgian wines. We have wines from just about anywhere. We don't really specifically not have wines from any place other than that we care about the farming. Okay. That's like the main thing.
Explain that to me. Why is that important?
I think that there is we need to only be doing good things to this planet at this point.
Okay.
There's no excuse
the time for doing bad things is over.
The time
right?
for doing bad things is over. And I think that if we use our dollars to make it profitable to be doing good to the planet, then that's the make capitalism work for us, I guess.
Right.
So we do that with, when we're buying wines, we don't see a point to spend our money with people that aren't earth focused, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
And
there's a lot of good wine out there. There's a lot of people that are doing different things, but I think that our ultimate priority is the well-being of the humans that live on this planet and the planet itself. So and there's there's tons of amazing wines.
There's
that
a lot
fall
of
into
good
that
options
category.
out there. So let me ask you, going away from the wines, even though the wines are important, tell me about the food at Valley and what kind of restaurant is it and what do you feature and how did you decide on that?
Yeah, I mean, similarly, it's driven by the produce that's locally available to us. So
Okay.
you could say farm to table, I suppose, is sort of like the term that gets used, but I think it's really just about, it's a seasonal focused restaurant that has a lot of influences. We're sort of influenced by, Valley is our first baby, and it sort of, we decided to make the cuisine stuff that we wanted, and same with the wines. What do we want to eat? What do we want to drink? That sort of thing. So there's a Mediterranean bent to it, a kind of like fresh, healthful focus to it, kind of a la, Chez Panisse, that influence
okay.
of just like, what are the farmers bringing us? How do we not mess it up too much, but like make it really flavorful and beautiful?
Right.
And then there's, we're influenced by all the things that like make Sonoma what it is too. There's a rich Chinese history here. There's a, bounty of amazing Hispanic, like the people that work for us, and what are their family recipes, and what can we do with that information.
You mentioned the Chinese. Your building was where one of the Chinese laundries was on the plaza.
Yeah,
You're part
yeah.
of the historic plaza history tour. So
Yeah, we just did a dinner with Coral,
Okay.
one of our employees, Coral Wang, who her mother and sister came out from the East Coast and helped us learn all these, interesting ways of cooking that we had no idea. All these interesting spices and things, and it was a huge success. Coral and Emma went to the Sonoma Historical Society and learned all this amazing history about the literal Chinese immigrants that were in that building.
Yeah, there were laborers, and there was a laundry there. And there was a
fascinating.
Whole
there
story.
were cooks. There was all this stuff.
There was like a boarding house in the back.
Yeah. So, it just unearthed this entire wealth of information that we were incredibly inspired by. So we're actually, and, the dinners themselves were really successful, and we're still kind of like working out the kinks, but we think that it's possible that for the month of January, we're going to just for the month of January, when we reopen on Thursday, we'll be leaning pretty heavily into this Chinese cuisine that we
that's
found
great.
really fun for those. So
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, so it'll be a little bit of like a pop-up, more of a Chinese influenced menu
Something
for
like
the month of January.
inside of Valley.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. So one, I should mention, it's very hard to get you here because you're working all the time, and the restaurant's like a harsh mistress. Like you always got to be there. You and your husband are both in the business.
Yes.
Right. You have business partners with you.
Yes.
And then you're like, this is not enough. We should open another restaurant.
Yes.
So you did that?
Yes. Yes, we have a 3-year-old baby in our main restaurant, our first restaurant. And
which you opened during COVID.
2020.
Great planning.
I know.
How would you have known?
How could we have known?
Great prediction. All right, so then you've got Valley, and then I think about 4 or 5 months ago?
3 months.
3 months ago.
Yeah, beginning of October, we opened Swim Club.
Swim Club, and that's just outside of town.
Yeah.
And tell me about that restaurant.
So that is our little ode to the New England Clam Shack.
Okay.
It's a seafood restaurant that is done in sort of the casual style of a clam shack on the East Coast, but obviously using California ingredients.
More West Coast.
And a West Coast flair.
Seafood.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And a little bit fresher. Like, I think as far as, the health conscious might be concerned for the month of January. I think people come into that restaurant and are incredibly surprised because, you look at the menu, it's like fried fish, burgers, fish and chips, all this stuff. But we have an Impossible Burger that we actually make our own vegan queso that goes on it. Okay. So it can be a completely vegan dish.
Okay.
All of our batter that we fry everything in is gluten-free.
Oh, that's great.
The entire menu is actually gluten-free except for one dish.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
We have gluten-free buns as options for everything that we do.
Yeah.
There are many vegan options. There's, we do whole belly clams, fried clams, but then we also do these amazing, that might be my favorite thing on the menu, oyster mushrooms that are fried in the same way.
Oh, so actual mushrooms, not the oyster mushrooms.
They're oyster mushrooms,
Right.
So they're vegetarian, but they might as well be whole belly clams.
Okay.
I mean, they're delicious. And then the tartar sauce for that is vegan as well. So
Vegan tartar sauce.
yeah.
Okay.
So there's all sorts of options.
This is not
for
an
people.
East Coast at
No,
the shore.
it's California.
Everything's fried in this big old vat.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone's eating ice cream down there at the Cape
But
or something like that.
it still feels, I spent a summer on Martha's Vineyard
Okay.
in 2013, and obviously having my time in New York, and it feels East Coasty. I think there's a nostalgia that we touch on that works for people that are maybe missing the East Coast.
Is your husband from the East Coast?
He's from Kansas.
Which is kind of the middle coast.
It's straight in the middle.
But there's a Manhattan, Kansas.
There's a Manhattan, Kansas that is very close to.
He could be there.
Yeah,
Wow,
he was in New York City for longer than me, though.
Okay.
He considers himself, I think, a New Yorker more than I ever did.
Kansan. Come on, be Kansas.
He's
Sunflower
Kansan too.
State.
No,
Come
yeah,
on.
he's got all the tattoos. Don't
It's
worry.
like I-70, like just Hallmark, everything. Is that Kansas? It might be Missouri. Anyway, it's Kansas
I think
City.
it's 70.
Kansas? I think it's 70, yeah.
70, yeah.
Okay, so you have these two restaurants.
Yes.
And that's all you have going for you, except don't you have like a dog? And
I have
like
a dog and
and a baby.
They're both my
I see
babies,
Tanner
yes.
walking around the plaza, pushing a baby with a dog
With
in
our
tow.
massive
And a big
dog.
old dog. I'm like, oh, you guys are in the middle of it.
I know, like running from one restaurant to the other.
Right.
It's life,
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
You guys are
people
doing
say
it.
Sonoma all the time, and I'm like,
Sonoma.
says who?
Yeah, not for me. Nobody's in a Sonoma coma here.
Yeah.
We're running around. What are some of your favorite dishes at Valley?
At Valley.
Yeah.
Man, our bread and butter is killer, but I know that's really silly.
Wait, literally the bread and butter.
I really love our bread and butter. I have a problem with our bread and butter.
Where do you get the butter from that it's
So the butter is from Achadina Dairy.
Okay. No, some of
in
the farmers market today.
Feldman, yeah. And then the bread is from our friend Adam. His bakery is called Ollie's, which is actually named after his dog as well.
Okay.
He is in Napa.
Is that a commercial only bakery or is that like a...
He is at a farmer's market in Napa
Okay,
too.
okay.
So his bread is great. Yeah.
That's it, bread and butter.
Bread and butter.
But don't just go and order bread and butter. You should order something else.
No. You should not just do that. But I just really love our bread and butter. He makes bagels for brunch too that are really great.
Okay.
Which,
you
the
guys-
first thing I do when I get off the plane in New York is get a bagel. So it's really nice.
People
to
say
not
it's
have
the
to worry
water
about that.
in New York.
They do say that.
Do you think it's true?
I think that there's something, but I really, really like our bagels.
Yeah.
So I think they're close. I think they're.
Someone was saying San Francisco might have better bagels, and it started a fight.
I know.
New York.
It was Boychik bagels,
Yeah,
which we used to
see,
get.
I wonder if that's true or not, or if like...
They're different. Everyone has to
Oh, look at
this is
you.
better, this is better. They're just different.
They're just different.
It's
There's
okay.
terroir to the bagels.
Exactly,
Just like
and
there's
that's
terroir to
okay.
the swim thing. So going to the East Coast seafood shack on the West Coast, what's one of your favorite dishes over there?
I really love those mushrooms.
Oyster mushrooms.
I think our fried cod sandwich might be the best fried cod sandwich I've ever had.
Okay.
The fish and chips are great too. My mother is from Newcastle, England, so we have a bit of a fish and chips situation in my household.
Really?
So
Malt vinegar
they
then?
pass
So you go,
muster
what's,
with
yeah.
her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your mom's from Newcastle.
Yeah.
Never ship coal. Yes, she's been there. That's I've been to Newcastle on the train. I was on the train going through it, and there's that muddy river. I think it's called the Tyne or something like that. And it's just like that's where the
Newcastle
brown
upon Tyne.
and the brown ale comes from up there.
Yeah.
And it looked like a really lovely little town.
It apparently used to be the coolest place ever. And I
according
think,
to your mom.
No, according to everyone. I think it had like someone actually recently compared Newcastle to Detroit to me.
Yeah, it was a big industrial city. I thought.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, I could see that.
The
this
industrial
kind of
north of
similar
England. Yeah.
timing
Yep.
of when things kind of,
Everyone going there, big buildings being built, lots of brick,
Yeah.
people working with their
university,
hands, stuff
yeah,
happening.
Totally.
And then their own beer,
Yeah,
which you got to
exactly.
have. All right, so cod sandwich, I'm going to try that because
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Wait, I do feel like I need to go back to Valley's.
So you
favorite
should,
dishes
'cause I was gonna
because
say-
I really
Yeah.
can't just say the bread and butter.
No, people should order more than that.
Yes, any of the veggies, crispy rice, any of
Right.
the veggies that we do are really
Okay.
fabulous. The menu changes really often though, so it's
That's the
tough,
trick. I asked
but-
my volunteers before I came, Dennis and Diane, they go there all the time. They're my Friday volunteers and at the visitor center. And they say, oh my gosh, we love Valley. So what's your favorite dish? I go, well, it changes
it's
all the
always
time,
different.
Tim.
Yeah.
So they
but
spent
we
about half
have
an hour
we have
debating stuff.
staples that
Yeah.
like the craveable stuff. It's
Right.
really important that if you crave something,
That
you
they're
can come
there.
back for it. Like the XO egg is pretty much always there. The crispy rice.
What
and
about your
stuff.
French fries? Are they always there?
The French fries are always there at Swim Club. Yes.
Those are good French fries, I hear.
Yes, they're very good French fries. They are.
And then do you have like special desserts or like how do you decide what goes on the dessert menu? Because back when I was many centuries ago a waiter, at a chain restaurant. Dessert was a thing that you defrosted and brought it out, but it made, it was like, you got to sell the dessert. What do you guys do over there?
Well, we have an olive oil cake at Valley that the recipe actually is a mutation from a restaurant that I worked at in New York that was incredibly well known for its olive oil cake. Okay. So I actually had messed with that recipe a little bit when I first moved back to California, just for my own ease. And then Emma took it and made it
It's quite good because olive oil, we cook in my house. My daughter's dairy-free, soy-free, a lot of allergens. And I try to adapt just straight, butter to olive oil in recipes. It doesn't quite work. No. You got to play with some stuff.
Yeah, and especially then if you're using alternative flours and things like that, it can be complicated. But
so many alternative flours.
Yeah, you got to.
But your cake, I've had it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'm like, okay, olive oil. I'm in a mindset like this is going to be this earthy, nutty, not that delicious dessert in my mind. And I'm like, oh, this is phenomenal.
It's so good. And it's like, it's so elegant.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's something really elegant to an olive oil cake. I really think it's special. And then at Swim Club, we have soft serve.
Oh, you do? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Which is great.
No, but does anyone do frozen custard? Like, ask your husband about Midwestern frozen custard.
Yeah, no, I know.
Lots of eggs and
Indiana,
incredibly
remember?
low fat. That's right, you know
custard.
It. Nobody's got it here.
No, it's true. I don't really know. I mean, I will say that California has very strict regulations around dairy products.
Yes.
It is incredibly challenging. You have to get a special, health department sign off, and someone else comes around to inspect it. I don't know if custard is, even more challenging,
right, that's
potentially.
A good question. Okay, I've never seen it out here.
Yeah, there might be a silly bureaucratic reason.
Maybe it's your
for
third
it.
Business.
Yeah,
you should open that in a year.
Perfect. I promised my business partners we wouldn't open anything this year.
Exactly.
We'll
you've got 11 months. You have 11 months here. We're taping this in January of 24. So speaking of January, have you made any resolutions, or is it just to keep your head above water with 2 businesses and a baby and stuff like that?
I did make a resolution. What was my resolution? It was to not feel the need to go back for seconds of food.
Oh, okay.
That was my resolution.
Okay, that's a good one.
I am in restaurants. I eat really quickly.
Okay.
I think I'm not the only one that works.
When you're working, you mean, or when you go to another restaurant?
No matter what now. When I eat now, I'm just trained that I have 15 minutes to eat my food.
Okay.
Just from trying to squeeze in family meal or whatever. Right. So I have a problem where I eat too fast, and then I think I'm still hungry, so then I go back and I eat more, and I don't need to.
Because your body doesn't.
So that's my resolution.
Okay, I like that. Don't go back for seconds, which really you're resolving to get a bigger plate.
Smart move. I know. It's a really easy thing to get around.
Lauren, you just said family meal. What does that mean?
Family meal it's a meal that you usually have in a restaurant. Not every restaurant does it this way, but where, the entire staff sits together and eats a meal together before service starts or at the end of service. I always liked it before service because it's really hard to get through service without having eaten something.
Kind of fall apart.
But,
right.
We can do that at Valley really easily because we're closed between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
Oh,
so we usually have family meal around 4. It's harder at Swim Club because we're just open.
You're open the whole time.
Straight through. So
it's a tradition in a lot of restaurants.
Yeah, it
restaurants
is.
I've worked in, it's a big deal.
I mean, I have very fond memories coming up in the restaurant industry, sitting down for a family meal, opening a bottle of wine, talking about the wine, talking through our shift notes, doing that all together. It takes half an hour, 45 minutes, and a leisurely thing. But now, because of labor laws being what they are, and I'm sure it's for a good reason, you can't talk about work during family meal. It's a break, and
right.
it's the staff's
interesting.
time.
Okay,
so we don't talk about work. We talk about anything but work for 30 minutes.
Like resolutions.
And they can leave if they want to.
Right,
that's the whole point, is that they're not required to.
Back when I was a poor student and after school, family meal saved me many times.
Oh yeah.
Because you always take that shift
huge perk.
where it was ready, and as a bartender, the chef would look out for you a little bit.
Yeah,
you had a little more leverage, which was fun.
Well, and
slip you something.
When you work at a restaurant where people care about what you're eating. It's nice too.
That's got to be very nice.
Yeah, people want
not just defrosting that one cheesecake.
No, we try to
upsell
make
that
everyone.
baby.
We try to make everyone happy, happy and healthy.
Well, I'm bringing up the wellness thing I did earlier. We're doing 100 days of Sonoma winter wellness here, and it's a way to kind of. A lot of people, for example, do dry January, right? Or a lot of people are like, well, this is the year I'm going to walk more, or not go back for seconds, or do like small things or big things. So we're announcing 100 days of Sonoma winter wellness, which there's more than 100 days because I wanted to stretch it to tax day because I figure people need up to April 15th. We need so it's like 112 days.
Fair.
But it works out, right?
That's fair.
So in January we've got things that people can go do, like the Sonoma Valley Museum of Art has an exhibit by Richard Mayhew, and it kind of expands your mind, right?
Cool.
Just take a little break or something like that. And we're always encouraging people, like, think of wellness as it's not all yoga. It's not all, I'm going to lift weights and do stuff like that. Oftentimes it's family meal. It's like hanging out with friends and then feeling good about yourself. Or like your husband does, walk with the dog and the baby around the plaza or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pop question to you. What are some ways that you like try to go experience wellness or take a break in Sonoma, or things that you like to do in Sonoma Valley that make you feel good?
Well, shameless plug, I teach cycling at Park Point.
You do?
Yeah.
You do?
In my free time.
Like the Peloton kind of stuff? Like
yeah,
cycling?
kind of.
Like
yeah.
stationary cycling?
Stationary cycling on an outdoor deck at Park Point.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I do that
Do you like music and
Yeah.
and you give inspirational stuff?
Oh, I'm nuts.
Are you?
I'm a psychopath.
Okay, I know that. That's fun. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun class. So I do that. I love my students that come to that class. It's a really great group of people that let me hurt them 3 times a week.
And pay you for it. Well, I pay for the honor.
Yes, pay for the honor.
Yeah.
What else do I do? I really love... I love walking around this beautiful community that we have. I walk over on Carragher, which is like kind of past swim club out there.
Right.
That's just really beautiful, the base of Sonoma Mountain there. Just being outside here.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky.
Being in the plaza.
This is January, and it's about 60 degrees outside today.
Yeah,
so
have a picnic. Why not? You can picnic all the time.
That is good.
Yeah.
You guys actually early on, back in the dark days, were you guys offering food to go? I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
And people would go into the plaza, right? Yeah. They'd chill out there. Remember?
I mean, we had like a couple moments in that first year of being open where we had to shut down because there were different COVID closures.
Right.
So every time we closed, we would,
get creative.
Try to do, pivot to do some initiative that, had picnic.
And that kind of created, were you originally going to have that big outdoor patio in the back? Was that still part of your plan? Or were you guys going to be just inside?
No, we always planned to have
you did?
the patio.
Okay, because that was great. The patio is great.
The patio is huge. I mean, I really think that like when you're opening a business in this town, this is before COVID or anything. It's crazy not to have an outdoor option.
Yeah, I love that you're also out
the
front
weather
too,
here.
because I think for a long time we underused our front doors. You go to the Midwest and back east, you go to New York, the restaurants put tables outside. It's like 45 degrees, and they're out there. And for the longest time, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys do that. I mean, it's just so great. And your neighbors, when they were open, when Taub was open, having 2 restaurants back to back or near each other with tables out really made that corner lively.
I know.
And it was fun.
I know.
Hope they come back soon.
I know. People still don't really sit at those tables though, except for in the morning. Because in the morning we get that
it's perfect
early morning sunlight there
for
people's coffee. It's honestly, I mean, those sidewalk tables are my absolute favorite. It's very European.
It's coffee table. I get it. You're not going to sit there and have a huge meal.
I don't know.
I mean, I would.
I would. You and I can.
I know when I take people out, I'm like, oh, we got to go sit there because it's great.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I like it too because then I'm not like in my restaurant getting stressed.
Right.
I could be anywhere.
Oh, look at that. There's flowers over there. That's what you're doing.
Exactly.
Okay, I didn't know you were a cyclist. That's crazy. Do you ride your bike then when it's not strapped down onto a deck or like...
Do it like on a road.
Like a bicycle?
I honestly rode my bike in New York.
Okay.
I was less afraid riding my bike in New York than I am riding it here.
Yeah.
Because it's all stopped traffic in Manhattan.
It's funny because ironically... more intense traffic leads to safer pedestrian and cycling conditions.
I never felt like I was going to get hit in New York, except for maybe like a car door or whatever.
Right.
But here, I've done it a couple of times, and it makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah. So there's the bike path, and we are working on getting more bike racks in front of businesses.
Great. Good to know.
And trying to get those out there because I think it is important. We have about 200 bikes between all the different hotels that are within a mile and a half of the plaza.
Yeah.
And I am now a broken record at City Hall. Like, guys,
come on.
There's so many bikes out there. So let's make this easy because I think it also brings customers to businesses that they see, there's a bike rack right there. I can park and get coffee and sit at the European style table.
Yeah, we're installing a bike rack at Swim Club.
Oh, fantastic.
Like tomorrow.
Oh, good job. Okay, good. See?
Yeah.
You do cycling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are 4 of you. Let's go back. There's 4 of you in this business, right?
Yes.
Business partners. Okay. Do we need to mention these people in case they listen to this podcast and now they're mad at you? Okay, go for it.
So Tanner Wally is my husband.
Heard of him? He's from Kansas, right?
He's from Kansas. He's in a band called Littleworth that just did a show at the Sebastiani.
They play locally. Yes.
They do.
Good. What instrument does he play?
He's guitar singer, songwriter guy. And then Emma Lip and Stephanie Rager. They are my other business partners.
Great.
They helm the back of house primarily, run the kitchen and all. That's why, you ask me food questions.
Right.
So it's like, that's all them.
Like, I will refer to them. Are they from here as well, or do they move here?
Emma's from Napa originally.
Okay, so she's local.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And Steph is from Chicago.
Okay.
But we all lived and worked in New York.
You did, okay. Is that
kind of like
everybody?
Overlapping.
Okay.
In different ways.
But not in the same restaurants there.
No, I don't think any of us worked in the same restaurants.
Okay.
We are very connected now. We realize, we didn't know each other in New York, but we all have like the same friends.
You're like, I remember that place.
Crazy
oh,
thing.
they had good bagels. Not as good as San Francisco's, but they had good
Exactly.
And then before we go on to the next section here, where you're going to help me answer some questions, if people are curious about your restaurant, do you have a website where they can find out more information?
Of course. Yeah. So our flagship Valley Bar and Bottle, it's VALLEYBARANDBOTTLE. Could not be more clumsy.
Valley Bar and Bottle.
Bar and Bottle. And then Valley Swim Club is valleyswim.club.
Okay.
CLUB.
Which I do love that you guys open up Valley Swim Club around the same time the new swimming pool opened. And
we actually got a health inspection that was for them.
Oh, did you? They're like, where's your corn dogs? You're like, we don't have corn dogs or a pool.
Sorry.
But have you tried the cod sandwich? Which is great because when people are saying, I'm going to the swim club, I'm always like, okay, are you going to the restaurant? Or are you swimming? Or what are you doing? Well, maybe it's a chance for you guys to cater something over there.
Exactly.
And that's a cool, by the way, side note, after or before, if you go to Valley Swim Club to eat, wait 2 hours or whatever the official go to the new Sonoma Valley Swim Club called Splash, is what it's really called, and a great public pool.
Yeah.
And it's shared with the high school, and it's lovely over there.
I know.
I was, swimming pools are not something we used to invest in them a lot in the 60s, in the 50s, and then we kind of stopped. And so going to a new swim facility, I'm like, this is amazing.
It's kind of crazy.
Beautiful, a lot of families there, and people who like to swim or ride bikes and get yelled at or something like that.
Yep.
So that's what they do it there. All right. I have come to the part of the podcast where you're going to help me answer some stuff.
Okay.
So this is going to be easy for you.
I don't know. I'm nervous about this part.
You grew up here.
Okay. That's
you
true.
know stuff. It's in your soul.
It's deep in there.
Remember, we have 2 visitor centers. People text us. They email us. They send us letters. They walk in, and it's a part of the podcast we call We Get Questions. Have you seen these questions? You have not? No, I haven't given you, right?
Okay.
No, I'm just making sure. Ready? I can hand them to you now, or you just do it blind. It's up to you.
Let's just do it.
Okay, here we go.
No.
Ready? First of all, a friend is doing a retreat at Westerbeek Ranch, which is here in town. And before I pick her up and drop her back at Sonoma County Airport, we're looking for some good places for lunch in Sonoma Valley.
Ugh.
Any recommendations?
Valley Swim Club would be right on the way.
It would be right on the way.
Couldn't be more
It's over there by
convenient.
Westerbeek, right? So that's a great one. We're going to do Valley Swim Club. Okay.
Others, though.
Oh, hold on. But they should get the cod sandwich, and they should, or they should get the oyster mushrooms.
They should get oyster mushrooms, cod sandwich. They should maybe get a salad.
Okay.
And some soft serve.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Maybe a spicy tuna boll.
Oh, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that's an easy one.
Yeah.
But we can't just promote your restaurant. I mean, we can. I mean, so you're like Valley Swim Club, Valley Bar and Bottle, and the new restaurant you're going to open after the podcast.
My dear friend, Leanna Osceola, who I went to high school with, she was my best friend in high school. She just opened a place called, I think it's called Osceola's Home Slice. It is in Rincon Valley, so it's like right when you get into Santa Rosa if you're heading that way.
Is it in the Skyhawk area?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I can't remember. It used to be like Ricky's, maybe.
Oh my gosh, where Ricky's was. That's right. Okay.
Is that right? I don't know.
Maybe, because there were a couple different spots up there.
Yeah. So I'll plug that one.
Good.
Because she has, I think it's like the sous chef from Rosso Pizzeria. So I haven't had Home Slice yet, but I really like Rosso.
So it's a pizza place.
Pizza place, yeah.
Rosso's quite good.
Yeah. I'll plug that one.
Okay, it's good.
And it depends on the timing of when you're leaving, but there's also more pizza at Buck's Place, which is new as well.
Okay, let's talk about Buck's Place.
But that would
I haven't been there yet.
I think that's their only evening hours, so it depends on the drive.
And
timing.
that's a wonderful venue. It's been many things, but for live music.
Yeah.
Right? And that was because it was Real and Brand.
It was Real and Brand. It was
Little Switzerland.
But it was a barbecue place.
Right. But it's got a huge patio and a big area there. So go to Buck's.
Yeah, I think Buck's, but obviously it depends on the timing.
The timing there.
What
okay, good one. That's great. See, you've done it. That was easy.
Okay, good.
I also say if those ones aren't open, so it sounds like swim club's open 7 days a week.
Swim club is closed on Sunday and Monday.
Sunday and Monday. Okay.
But open we have coffee starting at 7 a.m. And then we just kind of like go straight through with food starting at 11. There's breakfast, there's burritos and stuff like that in the morning.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if those places are closed, if you're heading up north the valley, going up 12, Salt and Stone, I think they're open almost every day. I go back and look. They're closed Tuesday, so that's a classic there. And I don't know if like Palooza's open, I think for lunch. But the new Golden Bear Station,
I have no
the
idea
animal
what
people.
the hours are yet.
Me neither. I saw the sign up though, so I was very excited.
People have gone.
Have you gone yet?
No.
Okay, so we can't personally vouch for it.
No.
But we should go.
I'm sure it's delicious.
That's going to be your fifth business, whatever's up there when you're opening the custard stand. Good. All right, good. You answered that one right. Here comes another one. Ready? Hey there. We're planning a visit around a concert in Santa Rosa on March 20th. Not my first trip to Sonoma, so I want off the beaten trail ideas for wineries that have great white, but not oaky shards, sparklers, interesting tours or settings, and other things to do as a solo traveler. Welcome. This is from Facebook. So they're going to be up in Santa Rosa, but coming to Sonoma Valley area, and off the beaten trail ideas and wineries that are not oaky shards.
Not oaky shards.
Yeah.
Okay. White wine, not oaky shards, sparkling. Iron Horse.
Oh, good call.
For sparkling.
Okay, Green Valley, yep.
That's a spot that I love. I'm going to say Idlewild's Tasting Room up in Healdsburg is a good option for unexpected whites. He primarily works with Italian varieties, so you won't find a Chardonnay there, I don't think.
Okay.
Lyoko up there as well.
That's a good one.
Chardonnay, but generally not very oaky.
Right.
What
makes wines oaky? What happens there?
Oak.
They throw oak in it. Or they put it in a barrel.
I know. It's a fascinating
But that's a
thing,
function of a lot of Chardonnays are to get that oak, and sometimes they get that buttery thing.
I mean, I have no personal qualms with white wine going into oak, especially Chardonnay. I think Chardonnay can take to oak really well. My issue comes from when they're trying to make it. But the thing is, wines that are made well with the correct oak use, especially if you want new oak on it to make it oaky, are going to be expensive because new oak barrels are expensive.
They are very expensive.
So
$800 to $1,200 to $1,800 for one barrel.
So if you want a wine that is oaky and buttery, but it is also cheap, my friend, you are going to end up with a headache.
Are you telling me that might not be? Yeah, it might not be sitting in a super expensive oak barrel for a long time at all. It might be a different additive.
So that's my issue.
Okay, I like that, and that's a good point. Also, you mentioned new oak because oftentimes a barrel can be used several times.
Right.
So it's like a white wine, maybe a red wine, and then finally it ends up as a tomato planter.
Exactly.
Good. So I like that. Interesting tours. this woman asked for, I would say a bike tour. I like the e-bike tours because they're
Yeah.
fun. They're a neat way to see stuff. But if you're not like super into wine, like some people go on wine tours and they're not like cork dorks, right? And so
Right.
all of a sudden they're like, I'm not having a good time.
Yeah.
But like the e-bike tours, you can just sort of wander around or see this, the scenery or take a picnic or something like that.
Yeah. Also,
And-
like
right.
kayaking or something.
Oh, it'd be a great
I
one.
don't know.
Yeah. Well, people kayak in Russian River.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can kayak on Sonoma Creek if you're brave and don't mind pushing through mud.
I think there might be some stuff you can do out of Petaluma.
At
too.
Petaluma, you can
Yeah.
actually Petaluma has some good, there's a good kayaking shop down there.
Yeah.
And you can rent stuff and go through the slough, although it was changed by Congress to the Petaluma River, so it could be dredged.
Oh.
There you go.
Okay.
It's technically a tidal slough. Who knew?
An estuary.
An estuary. Good job. There you are. Okay, good. Here's another one. And you're doing a great job so far. You're really good.
Okay.
I'm bringing a group of senior couples to Sonoma for a day and looking for an activity that doesn't require too much walking, but incorporates like history or culinary classes or nature. Got any ideas?
Ooh, that is a tough one. I mean, but not to say that there's not a ton of stuff that you can do that doesn't
Right.
incorporate a lot of
Walking. Right.
I'm just trying to think of what's the best thing that incorporates all that stuff.
Right. Oh, it could be one or the other. Like, so it could be like, well, do you know anybody that does cooking classes for groups?
That is a good question.
question.
Because there used to be a spot here in town,
Oh, right.
but I don't know if they're doing that anymore.
There is like cheese making classes through a woman named Shauna Davis at Epicurean Connection. She does have a place on 8th Street East where you can go there and do it. And sometimes, and you're right, like there's also classes at the Sonoma Community Center.
I was going to say the community center probably is the place that I would recommend.
where they have
for most of
classes all the
that.
time. But they're not like a cooking school per se. Like
Yeah.
cooking schools go there and rent space and do it.
What about the women's club? I feel like they often have.
Oh,
some
they do have cool stuff. That's a
going
neat
on.
building too.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Okay,
I
the
love
Women's
that
Club.
building.
I'll look at that. That's on First Street East, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is First Street East. About a block away from the Visitor Center.
Mm.
I did mention that history is pretty easy in Sonoma.
Yeah.
We've got the Mission, we've got the Toscano Hotel, we've got Sonoma State Historic Park. We have your building, which is a historic building.
Just come hang out at Valley, get your history.
Well,
have some
actually, there
wine.
is like a man named George Weber. I've had him on the podcast before. He does do history walking tours, and he will adapt them for the groups. So
There you go.
if you won't want to walk that far, he can kind of do it. And then also there's a Sonoma Plaza tour, but that one's on iPhones or like you scan QR codes and watch videos. So might not be perfect for this group, but it'd be kind of interesting. You can watch ahead of time. So that'd be good. And the final one I pitched was for nature. If you go up to Sonoma Botanical Garden, even though you have to walk it, they do have the ability to have golf carts for people with limited mobility. And you can see both amazing plants from East Asia as well as local California plants. And they have a great exhibit on bonsai right now.
Yeah, I love
and I
it
don't
there.
think you have to walk very far around a bonsai tree because they're only 18 inches tall. So I think that's a good one you should go do.
I will put one more out there too, which
Go.
isn't exactly right here in town, but the Hydrun Meadery.
What's this? Wait, the what?
So mead,
Mead, like this, the
the
honey beer?
beverage that's made from honey. Yes.
Which like Beowulf drank and like got
Yeah.
Grendel and wait, for real?
Yeah, there's a meadery out West County that it's just a beautiful property, and they have a little shop there. They usually have flowers.
Okay.
They have some really beautiful stuff, and I think it would be a lovely sort of natural place to sit
Bring people
and
out
be
there.
for a while.
Wait, what's it called?
Hydrun?
Hydrun Meadery.
Heidrun, I want to say, or it might be an I before an
Wait,
E
are they also a
situation.
wine? No, I've been to a cidery out there.
I
They
think
also
they
had
just
wine
do
and
mead.
cider. So it's mead. So it's a different place. We were out. They were playing music. It was very West County.
Yeah, my friends, I actually shucked some oysters for a friend's birthday one year out there.
really?
It was like a really cool place, just kind of like hang out, and they kind of let you do your thing, I think, more or less.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So that's good. And
Great.
by the way, it's funny you haven't seen these before, but great segue to my final question.
Okay.
Oysters.
Oysters.
Where is a good place to get oysters?
Oh, why have oysters gotten harder and harder? I used to take everyone to Hog Island.
Yeah.
I love
so
Hog
out on the
Island,
Marin
but it's
Coast.
just become a lot harder to do. And I don't blame them for making it harder, because the last couple of times I went, it was
Pretty much a madhouse.
chaos.
So there was a place out when you went towards the coast of Sonoma. You go south to Marin, and then there's a bay down there, and there were oyster farms,
I don't know.
whatever you call them. It's a hog down. One of them you could kind of pull up and get oysters from them.
Yeah.
And barbecue and
Shuck
chill
your
out, shuck
own.
your own, lose a finger, no
Yeah,
problem.
I guess that's
Just
what
stab
probably
right through your
happened.
palm.
Yeah, I don't
But
think you
they
can do that
don't-
anymore.
Are they still open, or are they just not?
They're
doing
open. I think you have to like make an appointment. You have to
Okay.
reserve a table. I think it's harder to just go into. So I'm going to amend. I mean, I still think try to go to Hog Island if
Right.
you have time to organize it. But I also really love the Marshall store, which is,
Okay.
I think, a little bit farther south down the coast. And you can't shuck your own or do any of that sort of stuff. But they do really great, fresh oysters, then also some baked ones and things like that.
Oysters
So,
usually from that area.
yeah, right there.
They bring them there.
Yeah.
So those are good. Those are both in the Marin Coast, not far from here. So about 45 minutes? An
Yeah,
hour,
easy
something?
drive. Easy drive out to the coast
And
and
some
drive
great
that's
hiking
worth
out there.
doing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Great. A lot of people go hiking out there on that area. If you're looking for restaurants, I know here, I think in Kenwood, Salt and Stone has oysters. Petaluma has a place called the Shuckery.
That's true.
And they have the oyster, called the Oyster Girls, or was that the Shuckery? I can't remember, but they had oysters. Oysters will appear on menus at restaurants.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, the farmer's market, sometimes you will see Santa Rosa Seafood or Annie's or Anna's Seafood will have
Anna's
oysters.
Seafood House. Yeah. If you want to go buy a bag in Petaluma, Anna's Seafood,
She's
and
got
then
'em
have
there.
them. Yeah. I think that's like.
So you know
such
how
a
to shuck an
gem
oyster
for-
without stabbing your palm.
Usually. Yes.
My kids bought me one once. And it's still in the package. I look at that thing. I'm like, I'm going to put that right through my hand.
Someday I'll try.
I know. I got to get
You
like a
gotta get the
special chainmail glove.
Yeah.
I know. That's just
You
like.
gotta have a. Do not
it-
do it without a glove, or at least a very thick.
Is that the
towel.
way to do it? Okay. It just looks daunting because
Yeah.
like I'm just gonna and like people are like, how did you lose a hand?
Yeah.
An oyster.
What happened to that?
And what do you know much about oysters? I don't know a lot about them. West Coast and East Coast type and something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I know what I like,
Okay.
but I don't like.
Are they raw oysters, or do you like them like the Rockefeller?
I like
kind of-
raw. I
Okay.
like small raw. I like Kumamoto's
Okay.
are probably up there with my favorites. There is a kind that I found recently that has like a really pretty striped shell, and it's really like deep. It's something about like how much they roll that creates the shape of them and all
Oh,
this stuff.
okay.
So like the different waters and how
Oh, like the tides are
knocked
moving or
around they
something.
get
Okay.
and stuff like that make them the different shapes and make them sweeter or brinier and all this stuff. But clearly I don't know enough about them, but I can see them and know that that's going to be
And
the
they're
kind
like
that
a
I
good kind of oyster.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, it's good. You answered the question well. Good
Okay.
job. You
Yay.
gave. See, like you're done being a volunteer there. You're done. You
I-
did it,
I
lady.
ca-
You're amazing.
I'm off the clock.
Lauren, so thank you so much for coming along here and answering our questions and telling us more about Valley. Is there anything I failed to ask you, by the way?
Probably.
As you're driving away.
Yeah.
You should have asked this.
I'm sure there's stuff I'm supposed
When's
to
the best
say,
time for
but-
people to come visit your restaurants?
I mean, honestly, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
We're sort of in the, January, February will be a slower time, and we'd really just love to see
Yeah, see
everybody,
people come
especially
there.
our locals. It's a great opportunity to nurture our local
Right.
relationships.
Right.
So, once it starts to get kind of busy and crazy around, it becomes harder, but we're just always so happy to see our locals and have our regulars.
And you're right. It's January, February, March is when you see a lot of people who are from here. So if you are visiting, it's not as busy, and it's also a chance to kind of talk to. Oftentimes, the guy at the bar next to you is a winemaker, or the woman next to you is got her own distillery or restaurant or farm or something like that.
Yeah, and the
So-
servers have a little more time to write a list of places you should go check out, and most of those places, if you during the busy season, almost every winery requires appointments now. But
Right,
during the
right.
slow season, you might be able to get
Their
it.
doors
somewhere.
are open. They're like, come on in here. Come check
exactly.
us out. So
It's a great time to come.
And again, the websites, if I wanted more information about these fabulous restaurants or to book a table, what would I go
do
to?
them again. Valley Barn Bottle, VALLEYBARNDBOTTLE.com, and then Valley Swim Club. Our seafood restaurant is VALLEYSWIM.club, CLUB.
Okay, valleyswim.club.
.club.
That's amazing.
That you can do that now?
Yeah, I didn't know it was a
know.
thing.
You can
So
do dot anything almost.
That's great. I'm going to reserve Sonoma dot anything and see what happens. See what happens there. Hey, Lauren, thanks for coming on. This was fantastic. Always appreciate you having here. Everybody else, after you've made your reservation at valleybarandbottle.com or Sonoma Swim.
ValleySwim.club.
After you've done that, please go to SonomaValley.com and check out special deals and offers. Also, we have our 100 days of winter wellness. We have all sorts of amazing activities. I might even add on there, take a cycling lesson from the Maniac at Park Point because you want to get all pumped up and stuff like that. And Mom and Dad, thanks for listening. We'll listen to you guys or see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.